This is a big one, guys. Bondi Beach massacre over the weekend. We know that 15 people are dead. It's a tragic, tragic, tragic event that occurred. And like clockwork, we're already seeing pecking down orders about who did this, why they did this, and what we're going to do about it. All those things have been dictated to us seemingly immediately following this incident. But here's the profile The Guardian just released, so we understand the father and son that were apparently the perpetrators of this massacre. The Bondi Beach terror attack, father and son duo allegedly used licensed firearms in shooting. Naveed Akram. Now we're going to talk about Naveed here in a moment. If you guys know where we're going to go with that one. But Naveed Akram, he's the one that's still alive. His father, Sajid, he was shot dead by police at the scene. They've listed the victims that we know so far. There's 15 that are dead. There's a ton of them that are in recovery right now. Some of them are still in critical condition. But what are they telling us right now? That the gunman behind the attack, father and son duo, suspected of using legally obtained firearms. And you guys know where we're going with this. Australia is going to now have to crack down on what? More gun restrictions. Of course, you got to restrict the guns, right? That's what they're working on now, because these guys legally obtained them. So you got to make it illegal to obtain them. That's where they're going next. But before that, let's look at this. So we have, Naveed, 24 years old, arrested at the scene, 50-year-old father. He was shot dead on the scene, allegedly killing 15 people together, dozens more injured. And apparently the son was known to New South Wales police and security agencies, while his father had a firearms license with 6 weapons registered to him. All 6 firearms have been recovered by the police. Let's look at these guys, because I got to say, watching this footage here, they look pretty relaxed, pretty focused, and pretty well trained. Here's one of the videos that came out from it.
Boys, get down. Oh my God. Fireworks.
It looks like a sharpshooter to me. Looks like a sharpshooter to me. That's just my first take on it. And then this was the moment where a citizen, who I suppose it was very convenient for Netanyahu to call this guy a Jewish hero. He had to later correct himself, because it actually was a Muslim man who was the only one who went into action mode where the police didn't at all. The police stayed put, and this was the only person who attempted to do anything brave at all. So none of the police actually did anything. They just stood there while this guy, Muslim man, went to tackle one of the shooters.
Oh! Oh non, gros! Oh!
Mais son pote, il va se faire tirer dessus. Il est trop con, le mec.
So he has the guy's gun, and he was smart enough not to shoot him at that point, because he would have been might have been a problem there if you're shooting somebody with the gun you just took from them when they don't have the gun anymore. So he just kept it on him. Probably a good instinct there. But then the dude just gets to walk away. Why don't the police come? Why don't the police come and tackle him right now? What's going on here? Why don't they have police on the other guy? Why aren't they doing anything about this at all? He just seems to be able to walk away, and then the dude ends up throwing something at him because no one else is doing anything at this point. So, I would say we used to see incidences like this, and my instinct in the past has always been the police are either they're afraid, they are unorganized. We used to really get on the police about these situations where they're so quick to draw their guns when they're in non-dangerous situations. They love drawing their guns on kids holding up a candy bar, got to kill the kid in case it was a gun, that kind of stuff. And then when a real thing happens, they just freeze. So it used to be really critical of that. But now when we look at incidences like this, we have another part of our brain has to go into play here. It's not just immediately criticizing the police and saying you're ineffective or you're scared. And there's another video. I don't know if you guys saw the one of the female police officer being kind of having to be guided over to where she needed to be, and she didn't want to go. And I was like, oh, there's another afraid. Why are you a police officer if you're going to be petrified in a situation like this? Well, another part of our brain has to kick in now. We have to start looking at the entire apparatus of the police and say, what are they being told to do and what are they being told not to do? And is there actual top-down orders being instructed to them to not do anything on purpose? Is that a factor? And that's something we have to start considering because of all of the other red flags and false flags and things we're going to be looking at more of here. But I'm just throwing that out to you guys. We have to have that part of our brain ready to go too, not just the police suck at their job when we really need them. So there's more going on here clearly. And you guys, if you haven't thought of that yet, in this particular case, we have more to show you. So let me play out this part here. Yeah, clearly this went on.
Oh, l'enculé, il a pris une deuxième arme. En gros, il a récupéré l'arme du mec. Mec, c'est un attentat, frère. Eh, il y en a un, il est en dessous du bridge.
So this went on way longer than it should have. Way longer than it should have. Way longer. So, and I need to investigate the footage a little more and see, because it's so hard to see. And this from Jutta, I just wanted to read this one out, because if we watch the footage of the guy who took the gun, a bloke in black hat comes back to the tree and grabbed the gun and started firing at the son, but no one's talking about this. Okay, that is something we haven't seen. I'd like to take a look at that. But again, it's being presented very chaotic. There's not much clarity here about how this actually went down or what's actually happening. And then we come to find out that the Mossad has now sent their people to the crime scene and they're investigating. So we can surely expect an honest investigation into the questions that we still have here. So rest assured that should be coming soon. But let's see what the initial responses were to this chaos. Let's start with Chuck Schumer, because he had to chime in right away and tell us how important it is that we talk about this. I mean, I'm sorry, he was more into football, actually.
So I'm going to say a few words about the terrible shooting in Sydney, Australia. Okay? So, and first, of course, as I always say, no matter what, go Bills. They beat the Patriots today. It's a big deal.
Bills did beat the Patriots. And Chuck Schumer, you're absolutely right. It's a big deal. And that's what our attention should be on, not on a story like this. So well-timed. We're really good with words there, Schumer, and really good with timing. So that's why you are a lifer, apparently, because nobody had a problem with anything like that you would do in such a it's such a tacky way to introduce this story to your constituents. But yeah, it's even hard to laugh at that one. Okay, so now on to the big stuff here. We know the drill. We know that Netanyahu has to come out right away and tell us what the real problem is here. And this is his second time speaking about it. So he's already had time to prepare this second time. And correct. He does correct himself. I'll forewarn you guys. He corrects himself about when he originally said that a Jewish man was the hero. This one turned out to be a Muslim, the one you guys just saw. They grabbed the gun because the police didn't do anything. But here is Netanyahu carefully telling Australia why this happened. And it's because he warned them and they didn't listen to his warning. And they suffered the consequences because they didn't listen.
On August 17th, about 4 months ago, I sent Prime Minister Albanese of Australia a letter in which I gave him warning that the Australian government's policy was promoting and encouraging anti-Semitism in Australia. I wrote, "Your call for a Palestinian state pours fuel on the anti-Semitic fire. It rewards Hamas terrorism. It emboldens those who menace Australian Jews and encourages the Jew hatred now stalking your streets. Anti-Semitism is a cancer. It spreads when leaders stay silent. It retreats when leaders act. I call upon you to replace weakness with action, appeasement with resolve. Instead, Prime Minister, you replaced weakness with weakness and appeasement with more appeasement. Your government did nothing to stop the spread of anti-Semitism in Australia. You did nothing to curb the cancer cells that were growing inside your country. You took no action. You let the disease spread. And the result is the horrific attacks on Jews we saw today.
How can you say that with certainty? What are you talking about? You didn't take act. And what kind of action are you talking about, Netanyahu? Are you talking about not funding any sort of relief or aid to Gaza? Is that what you mean? Cut that off? Is it because Australia recognized Palestine as a state? Is that what you're talking about? What exactly is it that is by your own words, is the cancer that their help for Palestine and their support for Palestine? What exactly is the cancer that you're connecting the dots that leads to a horrific murder event where 15 people are dead? How does one correlate to the other? Because you said so. That's why. And because it seems like you have more of a hand in what is going on here than just an observer. That's what it seems like to us. And there's more. But yeah, finish up your speech. I mean, it's actually a threat, but we'll say it's a speech. It's a threat, Netanyahu.
We saw an action of a brave man. Turns out a Muslim brave man, and I salute him.
Thank you for correcting that. But the damage was already done. The damage, see, you guys know that game. You guys know the trick. Say Jewish man hero. You can correct it later, but you already said the thing. You already said the 40 beheaded babies. You already said that. That already happened. So you already got the result you wanted. You wanted that. You wanted that emotional reaction, right? So you got the emotional reaction. Corrected yourself now. But yeah, go on with your empowering speech, which is really a threat.
That stopped one of these terrorists from killing innocent Jews. But it requires the action of your government, which you're not taking. And you have to, because history will not forgive hesitation and weakness. It will honor action and strength. That's what Israel expects of each of your governments in the West and elsewhere.
That's what Israel expects. Israel expects you to do things for them. If you don't, you will suffer the consequences. What kind of relationship is that? What are we talking about here? Look at the look in that guy's eyes. Look at this. If you don't comply with Israel, you will face the consequences. It's pretty simple. There's not much else here other than a man threatening a country who, just by the way, had 15 people murdered in it. And all you can do is say, I warned you. I warned you, motherfuckers. I told you, stop funding Palestine aid. Stop recognizing them as a state. And let us murder the shit out of them as much as we want. And don't do anything about it. And that'll be strength. That equates to strength. And then we won't do anything to you that you will regret. What would that be? What could Israel possibly do? What could they do? Well, let's look a little closer. And there are more threats. There are more threats, by the way. Actually, let me play this one. I'm going to play this one more threat. This is a big deal because we covered this woman. We've covered this woman. This is the head of Stop Anti-Semitism. She is now bragging. Her name is Lyora Rez, and she's bragging about how she's going to continue to harass Americans and anybody around the country who stand up for Palestine, do what Australia only in a minor way has done, by the way. It's not like they're all in completely. They do enough recognizing a Palestinian state. Like that's such a huge deal. And being for aid to starving people, such a huge deal. But she's saying Stop Anti-Semitism will vow that they will haunt you for the rest of your life. The rest of your life, if you continue to defy Israel. In other words, show any support for dying, starving babies that we're funding their deaths of.
Day, we have featured more than 1,000 anti-Semites on our platforms. 1,000. Not theorized about them, not quietly documented them, feature them publicly, clearly, and with evidence. The results speak for themselves. Approximately 400 of these Jew haters have faced real consequences, including firings, suspensions, and expulsions. This is what accountability looks like. This is what action looks like. If you target Jewish students, your actions will not disappear into the darkness. We will shine a light on you that, thanks to Google and SEO, will follow you for the rest of your life. When you look for a job, when you look for a spouse, when you look for a nanny, when you look for anything, our work will always be documented. Again, thanks to Google and SEO.
Thanks to Google and SEO, which we own Google, we have Israeli operatives in Google right now. We know this personally firsthand. They brag about it. So because we own the Google search engine, we can do whatever the F we want. So thank you, Google, who we own, and SEO, and all the other platforms that we're getting our hands into. That's what we're doing. And we're gloating about it. That's what happens. So you defy us, you're effed. Not just now, but for the rest of your freaking lives. That's what she's saying. And could it come at any more, interesting time? Let's just say an interesting time that this is coming out now. You think this might be separate conversations? No. The point is, you leverage the event. You leverage the event in your favor while everybody is trying to figure out what's going on. And people listen. People comply. That's what happens. And more, we're told that it's Muslims, it's Islam, it's Free Palestine groups. They're the violent ones. They're the ones that need to be stopped. That's what this is about. And it seems to be working to a degree. But fortunately, there's enough people calling this out. So let's get into the really nitty-gritty stuff here, okay? So just to throw this out front, we know that people like Laura Loomer, they were saying there's going to be something big go down. It's going to be an Islam. Islam is coming. If you guys don't do something, I guarantee you something's going to happen. She's telling us this. Well, Candace had fought back immediately. Candace Owens put this out back on November 27th, and this was in response to a lot of people, the signalers, the Laura Loomers, who were signaling that something was going to happen. But they were saying, beware, we need to stop anti-Semitism because something's going to be coming. Well, guess what? As she says, this tweet will age well. Candace Owens said on the 27th of last month, they have been signaling that a 9/11 style attack is coming the second week of December. Save this tweet, it will age well. And it did. And anybody who is saying, well, it wasn't 9/11 because it wasn't two towers that were hit and 3,000 people died. So you're wrong, Candace. That's not what she means. She didn't say an exact replica. She said a style of event that will do the thing that 9/11 did, which is manufacture consent, get the emotions going, and we'll be willing to listen to whatever you want to stick on that bullseye that we're supposed to be shooting darts at. I'm speaking, of course, I'm referencing the Bin Laden bullseye, which was available to purchase at Target immediately following 9/11 on September 12th. You could go purchase a Bin Laden dartboard with a dart on his head, a target, and you can throw darts at it. That was available on September the 12th, 2001. Did you know that? So this is what she's saying is, show us the next dartboard that we're going to be throwing darts at. Whose face is under that? Well, we know the face they want to put, and that's the face of any Muslim, any the Islam a religion, whatever we're talking about any Free Palestine activity, anyone gathering in a nonviolent resistance protest. That's who's on the target. That's what this is about. Okay. Well, they get a little sloppy with their little operations. And if you're still not convinced, if you're on the fence, let's take a look at one of the victims. When I say victims, I mean, he wasn't one of the 15 killed, but apparently he was extremely injured. In fact, and he's a Jewish man. He was so injured, he got shot in the head, apparently, and he was still able to stand up for this interview, even though the shooters were clearly using high caliber rifles. This dude, well, he's a survivor, man. He's a survivor. So he's going to tell us, oh, by the way, he's also a survivor of October 7th. Thought I'd throw that into that too. This guy survived October 7th, and he survived Australia. Check this out.
So we're just looking at the Jewish leaders over here hugging each other. I mean, what else can you do?
Not a lot you can do right now. Right now, we've everyone's got to help, everyone's got to hug, everyone's got to embrace. This is it was a bloodbath. It was an absolute massacre.
Tell me what happened.
I was here with my family. It was a Hanukkah celebration. There were hundreds of people. There were children. There were elderly families enjoying themselves. Children, kids.
Let's pause right there. Why does that cadence sound so familiar? What is he doing there? What is he doing there? What is he doing? I have to stop there. What is he doing with there were families, there were children, what is that? What are you trying to tell the viewer that the person that did this is extra disgusting and horrible and racist? And I mean, I'm sorry, not racist. That you get a special word, anti-Semitic, filled with hate. There were children there. Where does this anger? How is this anger coming into play right after a massacre when you don't even know any of the context of what happened? You don't know anything about the mental illness state of the person. You don't know what the motive is, but it's reminding me of the October 7th, the babies in the heads, in the ovens, and they raped the women, and they did all. So it's this excess of theater. Okay, but please go on with your insanely heroic story. I mean, you've been through so much, man, and I don't know who put that bandage over your head, but you got shot, and you're doing pretty well. It was a high-powered caliber rifle that you got shot with. You're doing pretty good, but keep telling us what happened.
At a festival, playing, and then all of a sudden it's absolute chaos. There's guns, fire everywhere, people ducking. It was absolute chaos. We didn't know what was happening, where the gunfire was coming from. I saw blood gushing in front of me. I saw people hit, saw people fall to the ground. My only concern was, where are my kids? Where are my kids? Where's my wife? Where's my family? I survived October 7th. I lived in Israel the last 13 years. We came here only 2 weeks ago to...
Whoa. If I'm the reporter, wait, hold on a second. You survived October 7th, and then you fly to Australia. What? 2 weeks ago? What are you doing in Australia? What is going on here?
To work with the Jewish community, to fight anti-Semitism, to fight this bloodthirsty, ravaging hatred.
That's why you're here.
That's why I'm here.
So he asked you, that's why you're here. You came here to fight bloodthirsty Jew haters. That's why you took a trip from Israel to Australia after surviving October 7th. You come to Australia to fight bloodthirsty Jew haters. And then this happens.
You know, we've lived through worse. We're going to get through this, and we're going to get the bastards that did this.
Tell me, did you see the gunman?
We're going to get the bastards who did this. Well, you just saw the two gunmen. One of them got killed on the scene. The other one's in custody and critically injured. What do you mean we're going to get the bastards who did? What are you talking about? What bastards? What are you talking about?
I did. I saw at least one gunman firing. Looked like a shotgun firing randomly in all directions. I saw children falling to the floor. So elderly. I saw invalids. I saw people just. It was an absolute bloodbath. Blood gushing everywhere. You know, October 7th. That's the last time I saw this. I never thought I would see this in Australia, not in my lifetime.
On Bondi Beach?
On Bondi Beach, of all places, this iconic place.
Your children, your wife?
My children, my wife is safe, thank God. They're okay. They managed to get away. But I didn't know. I didn't know where they were, and that's nothing. There's no greater fear, no greater horror not knowing where your family is. They're okay. I'll be okay.
You're a legend. Thank you. And you don't know how you got shot?
Oh, here we go. Don't remember, dude, you're injured. So play the injury. You got to play the injury. Yeah, man, come on. Acting 101. Play the injury on the body and the intention. It's a lot. I know it's a lot to juggle when you're a novice, but he seems pretty good. He's really good.
Or hurt?
I know. I got hit in the head. I'm bleeding.
You know, when I get hit in the head, like really bad by, you know, like a punch or a high-powered caliber rifle, I tend to go like this. When someone says, "How's your head?" from being shot in the effing head, I go like this. Yeah, my head. I kind of do this like hard pat just to make sure that the bandage is still up there. Everything's okay. So he just, if you want to see, yeah, let's watch that part again. He just needs to make sure that everything is still put together right.
They're okay. I'll be okay.
You're a legend. Thank you. And you don't know how you got shot or hurt?
I know. I got hit in the head.
Yep. Rest the hand right on top of the injury of the rifle.
I'm bleeding.
You lost a lot of blood.
I've lost blood. There are people around me that are far worse. I'll be okay. We'll be okay as a community.
I'll be okay.
We will defeat these ravages of hatred.
Ravages of hatred. You know, I'll be okay because somebody stuck a cloth around my skull. So I'm good. And I got, as you can see, I lost a lot of blood. I have little tiny stains, like if you spilled food on your shirt, ketchup stains. It kind of reminds me of that. A lot of blood. And like I said, I got somebody bandaged me up, so I'm good to go. And we're just going to leave the bullet lodged into my skull. That seems like the best thing to do because I'm kind of functional. I'm good. Family's safe. But we got to get the people who did this. Well, dude had another opportunity, I guess, before the injury. He wanted to make sure that the world knew that what he was participating in. He managed to get a selfie. Check it out. That's the dude. He made sure that he got his phone out and captured the moment where he barely survived not one, but two separate attacks by rage-filled Jew haters, which is why he came to Australia. So it all checks out perfectly. Nico House, friend of the show, also thinks it checks out perfectly, as he reports. One of Israel's top propagandists, who also happens to be on Netanyahu's legal defense team against the ICC, which he was, who also happened to survive October 7th, somehow ended up at this Hanukkah event in Bondi Beach, got shot in the head, and managed to survive. Why the F are we letting play in our faces like this? It is funny enough to have a crying, laughing emoji at this point. Nico House, good call there. But like I said, everything checks out really nicely. And this one's fun. I just got it. This one's really fun. This picture made some rounds. It's very interesting because there's people saying it's fake, it's AI. Other people ran it through. We saw people run this through an AI tester. It says, no, it's human. But either way, I just wanted to show it to you guys because this is the type, Whether it's fake or not, we're on the fence about it. But and then I will show you that one of them did actually come up as totally legit. But I'm not going to say it's 100% legit, but it did seem to stir up. Let's just say it stirred up some feathers here. But even if it's fake, the idea is that yes, there are handlers, there are people putting these things together, and whether this is real or not, it's the type of thing people are skeptical to think that this does happen, and this there's no other explanation. Again, whether this picture is real or not, this guy had been placed in position to tell the story he needed to tell and look the way he needed to look and have the background he needed to have, and it all happened exactly at the right time that it needed to happen. So I'll just for reference, here's one of the checks that happened with this picture, and it did, like I said, on some checks it checked out. Okay, so that's it. Again, we're not saying it without a doubt real or not, but it is where people's minds are at, and rightfully so. This is where we need to be. We need to be thinking about this stuff because we know the mainstream isn't going to be showing any of this to us. So we're not done with the investigation on this one. Of course not. But make no mistake, our entire administration is 100% behind what Netanyahu is talking about, what Stop Anti-Semitism is talking about. So if you're sitting here on the sideline thinking, well, Netanyahu's crazy, yeah, this guy seems it's a little convenient. It's really horrible that these people died. Let's just not try to think about it. At least the people here in our country, they got their shit together, right? No, they don't. Did you guys know that Trump has assigned an anti-Semitism czar? Yes, he has. This new czar to stop anti-Semitism, he's literally called an anti-Semitism czar. He had something to say, and this is coming directly from President Trump. So whatever he says, our president, our administration is standing behind it 1,000%. Here's what Rabbi Yehuda Kaplan had to say. Again, appointed by Trump for U.S. anti-Semitism czar.
Is sending a very strong message. Think about it. Ironically, I get off a plane. I am the president's representative, and I am walking off with a yarmulke, and I have kosher food, and embassies will have kosher food. It is a game changer. The appointment is a game changer, and it's not about history. It's about education, and how do we educate? Indonesia has 350 million Muslims living in the country. How do we change their textbooks? How do we hold the people in Gaza accountable that if America is paying for UN textbooks and supposedly the changes are made, why are those textbooks not being used, and why are they using their old textbooks?
How do we hold the people in Gaza accountable? The big question everyone's asking. We got to start holding Gazans accountable, Palestinians accountable for their behavior. What are we going to do? Let's assign a czar. Let's do that. That seems like a good move at this point, Trump, right? Well, yeah, that's what he's saying. What an awesome opportunity. And that's what he's going to be working on. Let's see what else he has to say.
We have to teach people it's not okay to educate your kids to be a martyr. Okay? And we have to hold those countries accountable. How do we battle anti-Semitism on the internet? How are we doing better on algorithms? What companies can we work with? We are going to have a whole division within the office of the Special Envoy to combat anti-Semitism that is going to work on technology and working with the greatest leaders in technology, many of whom are Jewish and have offered their assistance. The office is going to be revamped entirely to be one of the highest profile offices in the State Department, because that's what the secretary wants and that's what the president wants.
Oh, I can't wait. It's going to be the biggest, the greatest, biggest office we've ever had. You've never seen any office like this. It's the best. It's the best, the greatest anti-Semitism office. It's going to have extra lights and it's going to be so, you're going to want to be part of it. You're going to wish you were part of it. If you were part of another office, you're going to wish you were part of the anti-Semitism office. That's what he's saying. Why? Why such a focus on this? And why now? And you think this is just happening in our country too. Listen, this is happening everywhere. This is all over Europe. We have our European viewers. Have you guys heard from the British chief rabbi? Oh, there's a British chief rabbi. He's speaking up too. Let's see what he has to say.
Kind of thing we knew was inevitable. We were praying, hoping that it would never happen. But no surprise, because of the tone on the streets within our societies, with the hatred that is being expressed.
I love his cadence, right? So he could just say, the hatred of these horrible, horrible Free Palestine protesters. Look what they just want to kill and maim. And we know what they mean when they say from the river to the sea. We know what that means. We know what all their codes mean. We know everything's in code because they don't actually do, because we commit acts of we commit crimes against humanity. You don't have to do code with us, right? But we have to dissect their codes. Their code, Free Palestine means murder Jews. That's what it means. And we're getting with that nice cadence, right? He's getting to the bottom of it. Okay. As they're playing the latest, the Bondi attack right next to him. So he's coming to the rescue here.
To the Jewish state, to Jews and to Judaism. And therefore, what's happening around us is inspiring some people to translate hate speech into hate action. You know, my own story is not really so important. One of our children called me to say, have you heard? And then there were some agonizing hours, actually, to discover what really transpired. Who was this an attack on? Who was involved? Who was implicated? How many were dead? How many were injured? But deep down, we knew this was an attack on Jewish people for the sin of openly celebrating their Jewishness. Time.
So I just want to be clear. The global narrative, the Western media narrative, is that this was a conspiracy of Jew haters. That's the narrative. And remember, they call us conspiracy theorists, right? We're the conspiracy theorists. When we have another theory, which, yes, involves conspiring, because it's not one person. That's the point. Nobody is saying it's one person who had a mental illness breakdown. Actually, nobody's saying that. Both sides are saying that it was a conspiracy, but we're always supposed to believe the one that helps the state the best. That's the one we're supposed to believe. And then that becomes just totally normal to just, and immediately they say this immediately. This is what happened. It was a conspiracy to commit hate crime. Everybody that was there's all these people that were in on it. Everybody that hates Jews worldwide, they got together in their secret caves and they figured it out. As George Bush once said, we're going to smoke them out of the caves. This idea that they're all meeting in these dark, like evil layers, right? The evil, the supervillains meeting in the. Remember the supervillains? They always meet in the swamp. Remember that cartoon? The superheroes have the Hall of Justice. It looks all nice and fancy. The villains, they always think, oh, we're going to meet in the swamp. We're going to meet in the swamp. That feels right? We're not. Make sure you bring your dark colors. Everything. We're going to have the lights really, really dim when we plan what we're doing. So it's the league of super villains. So they have that conspiracy all ready to go. And we're supposed to just believe it and not do any of our own work on this. But make no mistake, one thing we agree on, a conspiracy happened all right. Just which one is more likely? Which one is more plausible? And which one of the two conspiracies is just the one that makes the more sense as far as who benefited the most from it. So let's hear a little more what this very suave talking cadence, very well put together. What do you have to say next?
Time again, that's what we have experienced. But you know what? We saw those scenes at Bondi Beach, far more people than the first night, and that's how it's going to be here in the UK and right around the world. We're strong, we're tenacious, and we will celebrate our faith without fear.
You said there about hate speech being translated into action. And I just wondered if you could expand a bit on that. There has been some criticism, obviously, of the Australian political response to it, but particularly here in the United Kingdom. What is your message to political leaders, to the Prime Minister?
We have to crack down on hate speech in a far more forceful and emphatic way than we previously have been doing. By the way,
and that's what this is about. It's about cracking down on hate speech, because hate speech really is code for murdering more Jews. That's the messaging. And that's why. So who benefits from this? We know who benefits from this. It's as Israel's image, global image falls, and it's fallen, and they know it's fallen. They have to ramp up these events, these staged events. Now, look, obviously people died. We're not saying that they didn't die. That's what we actually are saying. They're willing to sacrifice their own people for what we say the greater good. We know they did this on October 7th. That's a fact. It's called the Hannibal Directive. This is not some wild idea. This is what they've admitted on record. This is what they do. It's in their creed. It's what they do. You sacrifice what you need to do to get to the goal, whatever that goal is, which is continue the whatever this Israel project is, this greater Israel project. That's what this is about. In order to continue on path, you got to get the world population, even though they look down on Israel now for all their horrible crimes. You create these intense situations that are shocking, they're scary, they're confusing, and it allows them to do just a little bit more crackdown on free speech, what they call hate speech. It's crackdown on free speech. That's what we're dealing with. So what can we do about this? What can we do about this? Well, we can only keep asking the right questions. Here's a perfectly good question to ask, which you guys know we certainly asked right away, and we got answers right away. What am I talking about? Talking about Google search. Google search. Why is Google search important? It was important for Charlie Kirk. You guys saw what happens when you find where there's been words that people type in before an incident happens. So what word would have gotten people's attention? Well, let's see. A day before the incident, what did we have here? We had Naveed Akram. We had him actually Googled 100 times just hours before the incident. Why would that happen? That's weird. By the way, it was all in Israel, specifically Tel Aviv. But in this chart, you see Israel is where 100, see the big circle? 100 times that the son, the shooter that's still alive, his name was Googled 100 times in Tel Aviv, hours before the incident. Is that a coincidence? Is that normal? Well, if it's normal, then if you go to Google Trends right now, Google Trends, it's called, I misspelled it. It's not a Google search. It's Google Trends. It's an actual function of Google Trends. If this is totally normal, nothing to see here, then why is it that when you go to Google Trends right now, this is no longer there? Why do they feel the need to scrub information on the internet from the past? Because this is now, we're moving ahead. We're not looking backwards. We're moving ahead. Why is it scrubbed now? Why would they scrub it if this is perfectly normal? Because this isn't perfectly normal. That is completely why. That is why. And we talk about the crisis actors. We know that there's a need for crisis actors. That's the other stuff. I thought this was important. If you ask AI, is crisis acting production industry, is it growing? Yes. AI says it's growing. The crisis acting production industry is experiencing growth, particularly in the context of the broader film and television landscape. Following significant disruptions caused by the dual strikes in 2023, the industry is adapting and evolving. Here are some key points about current states and growth trends. And so that they're referring to the SAG strike and the WGA strike. So they're telling us, yes, there's opportunity for actors to be recruited to be what? What do we call this? It's called crisis acting. And if you go over to the other slide here, global expansion. So for actors, including crisis actors, as productions seek cost-effective solutions. This is outside of our industry in Hollywood. This is globally. I wonder who would be needing these actors. I wonder. And it says at the bottom, it says overall, while challenges remain, particularly regarding job stability and income for many actors, the crisis acting sector is part of a dynamic and evolving industry that is finding new ways to thrive. Wow, that's so interesting. It's an up and coming industry. All you actors out there, you pay attention because there might actually be a job in it for you. Because why stop now? Why not keep going? They should really just keep doing this because it seems to be working on a lot of the world. It seems to be working. But let's just make no mistake on this because this is not going to be the last time we cover false flags. And I just want to assure you guys that it's our job to ask these questions. We can say it looks like a false flag. I'd rather be wrong about that up front than wait 22, 23 years to say, oh shit, 9/11 looks like it was something that we were not told. It's never too soon to ask these questions. Never too soon. False flag is a horrific staged event blamed on a political enemy and used as a pretext to start a war or enact draconian laws in the name of national security. So if you didn't know the definition, write this down. This is a definition. This is a definition. A lot of people didn't know what false flag means. They think it means that the whole thing was fabricated and nobody actually died. That's why Alex Jones got in trouble. Alex Jones got in trouble for having an interview about Sandy Hook. They called it a false flag. Oh, how dare you say no one got murdered? No, that's not. False flag means that the event is planned. And like we said with the Hannibal Directive, sometimes there are certain countries that have no problem sacrificing a few lives to get a greater agenda served. And we see it over and over. So we're going to continue to ask these questions when we see these things go down. We're going to continue to do that. And that's it. That's how we do it.